What's up, everyone? So, figured I'd make a video explaining where the heck I've been the last couple of weeks, because normally we kind of uploaded videos every day, or every couple of days at least, a lot more persistently, and the last 2-3 weeks have been just like flatlined. So, as you can probably tell from the title of the video, I was at Roadmaster driver school to get my CDL license. So that's where I've been, and as to why I couldn't make videos. The schedule is insane with them. So I wanted to make this video to kind of give anybody that's looking into getting into trucking or driving trucks an idea as to how at least Roadmaster is, in case you're wanting or you're on the fence or thinking about going to Roadmaster to get your driver's education, to get your CDL. Roadmaster is nationwide. They're a huge school. It started in Tampa, Florida. That's the school that I went to. So I went to the original school. It's one of the bigger schools, by meaning they have like a bigger footprint. I think it's like 13 acres. They have a shifting lane and everything else there. I don't know if all their schools have that, but in essence, they all provide the same thing, which is to get you ready to take your state exam with the state examiner so that you can get your Class A CDL. For those that have no idea what I'm talking about, if you just stumbled upon this video, with the Class A CDL, you can basically drive anything on the roads, a tractor trailer. Especially if you get your endorsements, like your doubles, triples, your tanker endorsement, or even your hazmat. The only difference between Class A and Class B is Class B is a fixed straight truck, or fixed single chassis, straight frame truck, and it's not a tractor trailer. Tractor trailers were almost twice as big usually, and weigh a whole lot more. So you have a lot more options with the Class A. With the Class A, you can drive any Class B vehicle. So I figured I'd get into it real quick and just kind of let you know how my experience was with Roadmaster. So the school is roughly 3 weeks long. It's Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. You get an hour lunch, and then you get 2 like 20-minute breaks after a couple hours, and then one in the morning and one in the afternoon. You have to spend 160 hours of learning, and obviously driving and everything else. There is a minimum. So what happens is you have to get your state permit. You have to take a permit exam for air brakes and for tractor trailers and combinations and all that, and you'll learn all that stuff. You can get it before you start the school, or you can get it like your 3rd or 4th day into the school, and they'll help prepare you to do all of that. You do have to go down to your local DMV and pay the fees and do all that stuff on your own, and it's up to you to pass, obviously. But before you can get into a truck and to start driving, you have to have your CDL permit. You'll also have to get your medical card and all of that, your DOT physical and DOT medical card, and they'll explain all that stuff to you. But you'll get all that stuff, and then you'll get out there and you'll start learning. You don't learn everything in these schools. These schools do not teach you. I've been around trucks my whole life, so in all honesty, it's kind of crazy that it's taken me this long to get my CDL. I should have gotten it years ago. I just really never needed it for what I was doing, but now I want to drive and just have the freedom of being able to do whatever I want whenever I want to do it. So I went ahead and got it. But so I had a slight background. Like, it wasn't new to me, especially driving a manual truck. Like, that's the only truck I know. Now everyone's going automatics. But if you don't know anything about trucking, you can jump into it and learn it. But I'm here to tell you right now, it's not for everybody. Just because you can learn something and you might know how to do it doesn't mean you should be doing it. And there might be some people that I went to the school with that are gonna look at this video, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but there are some people that just because you pass the test and get your license, that doesn't mean you have any business driving 80,000 pounds down the road, period. It's not for everyone. You have to know what you're doing. It's more than just driving. It's you know, you're trucking. You're literally carrying up to 80,000 pounds if you're not an oversized load down the road. And some people, I get that, you know, now, especially with the automatics, there's steering wheel holders and there's truckers. If you're just driving an automatic and you're just in the truck and you have no idea what you're doing, you know, and you're just hoping to God that thing goes forward when you hit the gas or the fuel pedal, you know, you're a steering wheel holder. You're getting an item from point A to point B, and that's pretty much it. You know, truckers, I don't know, anyone that's a trucker is watching this videos knows what I'm talking about. I'll leave it at that. So anyways, back to the whole Roadmaster thing, kind of got carried away there. So you'll get what you need to get. You're there to learn. You'll learn the basics, okay? So what happens is you spend your first week, or like your first 4 days, fully in the classroom that they have there. Some places or some Roadmasters might have simulators. The one that I went to, they said they used to have simulators, but they stopped using them. And that, I think the simulators that they had were for shifting, to get you to drive a learn how to drive a manual if you didn't know how to. It is different from driving your car. It's not the same. I mean, it's very similar, but it's not the same. So you spend the first 4 days in class. We do a lot of, you know, like computer-based stuff in classes, and a lot of just talking. And you know, the instructors there are full of knowledge. You know, they're truckers. So the instructors there were all great. Antoine was amazing. He's one of my favorites. Antoine and Danny were the two top instructors for me at Roadmaster Tampa. But they were all great. There's a lot that I didn't get to work with because I think a handful of them only did automatics, and I didn't touch any of those trucks. So, but all the instructors there are great. You know, it's part of it is just sitting there and, you know, sucking in all the knowledge that they're giving you, you know, because they already have real world experience, and that's something that you'll only be able to learn on your own. So you should take in, you know, what they're dishing out to you. So after your first week, you know, the first thing you learn is your PTI, or your pre-trip inspection. So again, this whole program is basically designed for people that have never even thought about looking at a tractor trailer besides driving down the highway. So you have to learn from the front bumper to the rear of the trailer what the hell you're operating, you know, so every component for it. Me, it was a breeze. I didn't even really need to learn any of it. I just walked right through it, and I damn near aced my exams for it. But for others that don't, they'll teach you everything. You know, they're not just gonna open up the hood and say, figure it out. They teach you everything, but it's up to you to grasp what you're doing. And, you know, and to keep on, you know, practicing and studying and figuring it out. A lot of this stuff that they're teaching with this PTI stuff, you will never once use it in the real world. However, the state requires it for whenever you get examined. So, you know, it's obviously very beneficial, but if you're working for one of these massive companies and the engine starts doing something weird, you're not a mechanic, you're not gonna fix it. You're gonna call your dispatch and tell them, and they'll get it taken care of. But, you know, you still need to have a basic understanding of what the hell's going on with the vehicle that you're driving. Especially with certain things that are DOT regulation that can get you in trouble. That's your responsibility as a driver. So, you know, you learn all that stuff, and you spend a good first week learning all that basic stuff. So after that, you do your, like, you'll do your evaluations on what you know, and then once you sign off on that and, you know, you passed it, then you get on to actually getting out on the pad, and you'll start doing your driving out on the pad. So you're in week 2 now. The first thing that you'll do is, well, see, I don't know, they kind of changed it. I was one of the last classes that they did where they had manual trucks. So I chose manual, or you don't even really get to choose. Like, you're naturally in a manual unless you tell them you want to be in an automatic. But the kicker with that is now they're all automatic. So if you start Roadmaster now, at least at the one that I went to, I believe you don't have a choice, you're automatic. They say, and what they'll do, and this, I'll get towards a lot of this at the end of this video, but they say that the industry is changing to automatics. And I want to say right now that that's both accurate and inaccurate. The major carriers in this industry, like Warner, Swift, Prime, Schneider, US Express, and, you know, some of these other bigger ones, they are mostly switching to automatics. But it's not because, I mean, they've gotten to be more reliable now than they were in the past, but it's mainly because they have such high turnover rates and all the old timers are retiring that they don't have enough people coming in, let alone people that know how to actually drive a truck and drive a stick or manual. So they don't have a choice but to have them automatics, and that's where the whole steering wheel holder thing comes in, because they just need to get people graduated with their CDL and in those damn trucks. So most local companies are probably still half and half or mostly manual. There's, you know, why that's important is if you test on a manual, if you do all your stuff, or I'm sorry, on an automatic, and you do any one of your 3 parts of your state exam on an automatic, you now have what's called an automatic restriction on your license, meaning that you cannot drive any vehicle that's, or commercial vehicle that is a manual, be it a dump truck, a roll-off, a flatbed, or straight flatbed, you know, straight truck, anything. It has to be an automatic, and it will jeopardize your career in the long run more than you think it will, and more than they make that out to believe. But I'll talk about that more at the end of the video. And what I was getting at with that is they have a shifting track, which is basically just a long track that goes around, you know, the outer rim of the whole property, and you learn how to shift there. So if you've never even driven a truck or anything, or even a manual, or even a car, they teach you how to shift, and you can get up to about 6th gear safely on that track if you're learning. I got up to 8th gear on the straightest, or the longest part of the track, but then I had to stop because you run out of room. I was going a little bit fast for it, but you know, I knew what I was doing. So you have that, and that's what you start learning. And then after that, you'll start your backing skills. They'll teach you how to straight line back, they'll teach you how to offset, and they'll teach you how to alley dock. Alley dock is usually the trickiest of all of those 3 for most. The one thing I don't like about, and I understand why they do it this way, I wish that whenever they were teaching you how to do any of those things, that they had trailers on either side, especially the alley docking, so that you can actually see what it's really like to have to back in a trailer whenever you've only got 2 feet of room on each side of you, as if, you know, you're backing into a, you know, a bay door, or, you know, a loading dock. But they can't really do that probably because it's your student learning how to drive. They'll probably be backing the damn trailers into each other left and right, causing damage. And these trailers have to be roadworthy because you drive on the road with them. So I understand why, but it would be more of a realistic training to do that versus just open air, kind of using lines on the ground, because you still have that depth perception, you know, that you're visually seeing, as to where whenever you're actually doing this in the real world, you're not going to be able to see as much as you can while you're just practicing there. So, but that's just me. So after you start learning those basic things, then you'll start going out on the road. You know, whenever you go on the road, like you just go. A lot of people overthink it and they start freezing up and all that, but you're on the road, and you're not on the road bobtailing. You know, you're on the road. Bobtailing is whenever you don't have a trailer attached and you're just driving the tractor. You're on the road with your 53-foot trailer. Now, all you do is haul sailboat fuel, air, so, you know, the trailers aren't loaded. You're not feeling what it's like to carry a true load and the weight and all of that, but you are driving with a full trailer. So, right off the bat, man, people are taking out curbs and everything else. One guy, I think, took out a sign. So, you know, they see that Roadmaster on the side of the truck, but everyone on the road steers away from them because, you know, that's roadkill to them. So people are, you know, they're a little bit smart about it. But, you know, you're there to learn. So basically, you know, you're out on the road, you're learning and all of that, and what happens is you switch off. You're usually in groups of 4, you plus 3 students, so yourself and 2 others. Or 3 others, I'm sorry. So there's 5 people in the truck usually. What happens is the sleepers are taken out, the bunk beds and everything in the back, and there's like 3 regular seats that they have bolted down in there. So 3 can sit in the back, the instructor sits in the front passenger, and then the student is the driver, and then you just swap out while you're each driving your turn or whatever. You know, you don't get a lot of driving time. I mean, you do and you don't. You don't get as much as you would like, I guess, but you get enough for what you need. You do all of this for the second 2 weeks of the 3 weeks. So basically you spend half the day on the pad doing your backing skills and all that, and then you spend the other half the day on the road. With our school, every Thursday, so if you, whatever you did, you did all day. So if you were driving on Thursday in the morning, you drove all day. Otherwise, you flipped every day. So on Monday morning, say you're on the pad in the morning, well, you'd be driving in the afternoon. And then if you were driving in the morning, then you'd be on the pad in the afternoon. You know, so you get a little bit every day. Then whenever you're done and you pass all your evaluations, you get your evaluations for your pre-trip inspection, you get your evaluations for your straight line back, your offset, and your alley docking, and then you get your evaluation for your road test too. Once you get all of your evaluations done, then they submit your paperwork to the state so that you can take your state exam, which takes 2 business days after the fact. So even at your 3rd week, you spend your 3 weeks to get your 160 hours of training. You'll be there for your 4th week to test. If you're lucky like me, I got to test on Tuesday, so I was done in and out as soon as I possibly could be. But some of the people had to wait till like Friday to test, so they were there all 4 weeks. I'm here to tell you right now, that kind of sucks because they make you stay there, you know, every day, those days too, 7:30 in the morning or 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. because they want you to get as much practice and experience as you can while you're doing it, so that you pass your exam. Obviously, the people that don't really know what they're doing, they kind of just jumped into this, they need those extra few days more than likely, and that's a good thing. Me, I don't know if it's just because I did everything quick and I was good to go and they just did mine, or if it was just my luck as a draw, but I got lucky. As soon as my evaluations were done, they submitted my paperwork. As soon as I literally finished my 160 hours the very next morning, 7:30 in the morning I tested. By 10:30 in the morning I was done with everything, passed everything with flying colors, and I was out the door. So it's, you know, it kind of just, it's based off of you. Some people were there for their 4th or 5th week. You know, I don't know how that works with, I guess they let you stay for a little while, but at some point you're probably gonna start paying rent again, you know, with your tuition or whatever. So I don't know how that works, but you know, you got plenty of time to get it. So that being said, what this school is not to like make you ready to go buy your own truck and do your own thing if you have no idea what you're doing. This school, it literally teaches you enough, just like any other trade school. They prepare you to take your state exam, and that's it. And that's all you need to do. You know, you learn all the basics that you need to do, and you take your CDL exam with the state examiners there. And the only time that you even see or talk to those state examiners is on your exam day. Besides that, they avoid you like the plague because they can't talk to you, because they're only there to be a state examiner. And even whenever they talk to you during your exam, it's probably 10 words or less. And they don't even tell you if you passed or failed until after the fact, or unless you failed, you know, one part of your exam. But they teach you everything that you need to know to pass your state exam. Once you pass your state exam, that's whenever you go and you have to go and, you know, the industry is kind of crappy for first year people that are driving. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody will hire you unless you have 2 years experience. It's not because they don't want to, it's because their insurance requires it. Insurance for this, anything to deal with trucking is very expensive, whether it's fixing a truck, fueling a truck, you know, changing a tire, or insurance is very, very expensive. You could go out on your own right out of the gate if you had the money to go buy your own truck. The problem is you're going to be spending probably $3,000 or more a month on insurance because you have no experience. And then on top of that, some of these carriers might be scared to let you lease onto them because while it's your equipment and everything, you know, if something happens, it's still their name that's kind of behind you, that's, you know, giving you the loads and kind of being your broker and everything else. So, you know, you get to think about stuff like that. So these massive carriers like Swift, Warner, you know, Prime, Conway, or, well, Conway's one of them, but Covenant, you know, all of them, what happens is it's a trade-off for both parties. And what I mean by that is they use you, but you're using them, and they know that. I would venture to say that every one of these companies, they all have massive turnover rates because students go in there, they pay you good money starting out for a career. You know, every new student driver, if you're out on over the road, you should not be making any less than $1,000 a week driving after your training and everything with these companies. But for what it's worth, if you're single and you have no family or kids or anything, that's fantastic. If you don't, or if you do, I mean, like, you know, me, I have 2 kids, you know, I got a lady at home and everything else, so I don't want to always be gone. I'm not back in the military again where I just dealt with that. You know, whenever I was deployed, you know, I'm home now, and I don't want to necessarily be doing that unless I'm getting paid adequately for it. And, you know, so everyone's different. For me, it's really not for me for working for a massive company where you're only making, you know, 38 cents a mile or something like that. But they, you know, they use you for because they know that you need experience. They pay you still decently, you know, and you get all your benefits and everything else too. That's one thing about with trucking, you know, most of these carriers offer pretty kick-ass benefits. But you get paid, they use you for kind of giving you not the greatest home time schedules and not the greatest pay, but you're using them for the experience that you need. I would say that they probably, all these companies have at least a 70% turnover rate by the time that the person's year is up, because then they have the ability to go out and get better work. They spend the year on the road, they're at all these truck stops talking to other people, they start figuring it out that, hey, I can go work for these other people and make damn near twice as much money. Now that I've got my experience under my belt, that's what I'm gonna go do. So what happens is all these big companies, you know, they have all these recruiters, they're always at these schools because they need you, they're already pre-planning to place you because they know that in 2 weeks they're gonna have a handful of people leaving because their time is up. So, and now you're replacing them. And then a year from now, they'll be replacing you with new people graduating. It's just, it's a never-ending cycle. But, you know, some people you have to do, I mean, you have to do that. It's very understandable. That's just how it works. These companies, they can afford to do this because they're so massive, they're self-insured. That's why they can afford to just hire you on. These companies are very, very, very profitable. They are huge, multi-million dollar companies. This is just what they do as part of the process. So, you know, that's what a lot of people have to do. They have to get in there, get their time, and then they can leave and go do their own thing, and then it's more affordable for that person, especially if you want to become your own owner-operator. So, you decide you want to do Roadmaster, and I kind of just briefly explain, you know, the whole 3 weeks of it and what you can expect out of it. One of the things of that too is Warner Enterprises owns Roadmaster now. They have for the last few years at least. So they will heavily shove Warner down your throat. That I don't like. They make it seem like Warner is your only option to go work for out of the gate. I think Warner, as of this video anyway, if you do, after you do your, you know, 6 to 8 weeks of training with them for like $600 a week, once you're in your own truck and over the road, if you're doing over the road training, I believe they pay you 38 cents a mile, which is lower than a lot of, not a lot, but it's lower than some places. I think Swift might even start you off a little bit higher than that. But I know Prime does. Prime pays you less during training, but they pay you like 44 cents a mile starting out. So those few extra cents, you know, if that's what you're doing, it makes a world of difference. But I know that Prime is very big on, you know, shoving the whole leasing program down your throat, which that leads me into this real quick. This is totally off topic, kind of the whole Roadmaster thing. But any company that you go for, listen to me carefully. Do not do a truck lease program with any of these companies. What that means is you're gonna go work for a company, they're gonna give you a truck and do all this stuff just to get you started, right? Then they're gonna shove the leasing thing down your throat. They're gonna be like, well, you know, you'll make more money and we'll pay you all this money, but you gotta lease you need to lease the truck from us. They might do no credit checks, they may not do anything. They'll just give you a damn truck and you sign paperwork just to lease it. And what that means is you pay like $600 to $800 or something like that a week, not a month, people, a week, to these companies. And what they'll do is they'll basically give you like 70% line haul as if you were an owner-operator with your own truck that you're bringing in. Well, that's great, but they're charging you like $800 a week for this. So yeah, you might make $3,000 a week in loads. Well, then you're down to $2,000. Then do they give you a fuel surcharge, which most still do, but you're having to maintain a lot of moving for a big bill that you need to foot for that truck. And here's where the kicker is with that. These trucks that they're leasing to you are only worth like $40,000 or $50,000 if you were to go buy it on your own. They do like 4-year leases on them. So by the time that you go out, or by the time it's all said and done, if you're able to, you know, if you're done with the lease and you get done with the truck outright, free and clear, for a truck that was only worth 40 or 50 grand, you have now paid probably $130,000 or more for. Do not do it. It's just a bad move. They get people because they know that they don't have that kind of money sitting in the bank. Save up your money. Work and save it up. Go find you a good used truck that will meet the requirements for a lot of these carriers, which is usually about 5 years or newer because of the emission standards and all that, and they don't want to have DOT issues while you're driving an old beat up truck down the road. or one that breaks down because they need to get the loads and keep them moving. But save up your money and go buy you a truck. Do not lease a truck through these people. Warner does it too, Prime does it, they all do it. It's for some people, it's not for everybody. I highly wouldn't recommend doing it. You're better off going and saving up your cash and buying your own truck. That's just me. So anyways, that's the leasing thing. So let's get back down to the whole, you know, this is obviously a video about Roadmaster. I'm kind of jumping the gun, this is all things that can happen very quickly with you while working at Roadmaster. Anything is Warner, getting shoved down your throat like that's the only company you can go work for. It's not. Do your research. Everybody is different. There are many companies that will come and hire you. You just have to do your research. And I can do a whole nother video about that too if you'd like. Just let me know in the comments if that's something that you would want to see, because this is kind of a left field video than what I normally put up. Anyway, so the whole point of this was like thoughts on Roadmaster, the Roadmaster review. Roadmaster, is it worth it? My answer to that is yes and no, and I know that that's kind of a crappy answer to give. I say yes based off of, for what it is and what you're trying to obtain in such a short period of time, yes, it's worth it. Especially because no matter how you pay for it, most of these big companies, if you go and work for them, they do offer some sort of tuition reimbursement. So you will get your money back, but that would require a lot of people, most people, to probably have to agree to work for these companies for like a couple of years. I know one of the things whenever I was there, Covenant came in, they offer a $15,000 tuition reimbursement, and what that means is over 4 years or 5 years or something like that, they'll give you X amount of money per month, up to $7,500. And then on your 5-year anniversary with Covenant, your 5 straight year anniversary, they'll give you another check for $7,500. So they give you $15,000 total back, and it goes to you. The reality is no, probably 1% or less actually will stay and go straight to Covenant and stay with Covenant right out the gate for 5 years. So they loop you in with those kind of numbers, but it's few and far between who is actually going to stay and achieve to get that. Covenant pays absolute garbage pay. If you're watching this Covenant, you pay garbage pay, period. And they're all about team driving because the truck's always moving instead of solo. Me personally, I get that you can make a little bit more with teams. I like being in my own realm. I don't want to be stuck with somebody. I don't care how much you like them, 24/7, 365 damn near while that truck's moving. Sure, you're making more money. I like to have me time and my own privacy here and there, and yeah, that's just me. So for what it is anyway, I believe that Roadmaster is worth it. It's pretty expensive too. I'm not gonna lie, full disclosure, I didn't pay for my schooling. I used my GI Bill that was left, what I had left of it from getting my degree, and it covered the cost for that. I will say that I think it's insane how much of a chunk they took of my GI Bill. So just watch this. Any veterans wanting to go to Roadmaster and use their GI Bill, you're given 36 months of benefits for your GI Bill. You know, that's all broken up to the VA and how they do all that, but they took 4 months for this 3-week school, okay? 4 months of my GI Bill was taken for a 3-week school. So that's kind of BS to me, but you're not footing the bill for it. I think they charge the VA like $6,995. If you're paying cash, I think it's an even $5,000. If you're paying out of pocket and you have the cash to pay for it, I think they just charge you $5 grand. If you finance it though, holy cow. If you have to go in there and finance it, because they don't accept federal financial aid, so you'd have to get a loan. They got people, I'm sure, that they work with, banks or whatever, that'll loan you the money. But I know that I saw somebody's stuff that they were showing me. If you finance that school and you have to stay at a hotel, say you're not local and you have to stay at the hotel that they have for like 3 weeks, after the interest and everything, the entire amount that it costs you is $12,995. Almost, literally $5 shy of $13,000 if you have to finance it. Now, I don't know how many years that was. I didn't see all that details. I just saw the full amount that you would end up paying in full if you do it the whole time. It was astronomical. Do not spend that kind of money to do this. Theoretically, you can go to these massive carriers with nothing and they'll do all this too. They'll provide you the training and everything like these schools do. But I think it does make it a little easier if you've already got your CDL and you can go into these companies and just get hired in like that. You'll still have to do their training programs where you're with the trainer driver for, you know, 4 to 8 weeks. But then after that, you're done. As to where if you don't have your CDL, you get to do all this training and get paid crap pay. Then you have to do their driver training program with them, and then you have to probably commit to staying with them for a year or two so that they can make their money back and protect their investment into you. So I think it's worth it for what it is. I don't think the price is worth it, but that's coming from somebody that didn't have to pay for it. If I had to pay for it, I would absolutely save up the cash and pay the cash amount versus financing it. I wouldn't do that. Now, and I say that because if, you know, you will get tuition reimbursement from whoever you go on. So say you go to any one of these companies that offers tuition reimbursement, even if you stay with them for a year, you're probably gonna make at least half of what you paid for your school back. So it makes it technically cost even less. So, you know, it's kind of a catch-22 with it. But I think it's worth it for what it is. Is it the best training? Absolutely not. Period, end of story. It's not. You're a number to them. You're getting you in, they're getting you out the door. It's as simple as that. Some people are barely even passing out of this school. But that's what it is. They're needed. You know, you're needed. The drivers out there are needed. The industry shortage for truckers is not a fake thing. It is absolutely real. All the old-time truckers out there they're just up in their years and they're just done. They're either, sadly saying, they're dying off, or they're just retiring and they're done, and there are not enough people replacing them. Regardless of how the country goes, how the economy goes, how anything goes, the world is always changing. Everything is getting greener and better too. But I got news for you. Trucking will never, ever stop. Period. It can't. If trucking stopped right now within 24 hours, our country would be at a freaking gridlock and start freezing up. It cannot stop. Trucks might change and they might become electric and everything else like what Tesla's doing, which is, I don't trust that right now, but that's a different topic. But it's still a truck. It still has to be, the goods have to be transported. It will not stop. The job security for this industry is astronomical. And it's only getting more and more like in demand. So the pay is starting to go up, the home time is starting to change compared to what it used to. You know, truckers used to get paid. Trucking is, you've always made money with it because you're always, as long as those wheels are rolling, you're earning. But, you know, before all these e-logs and everything came out, you know, truckers used to get paid crap pay, but they could drive, you know, as much as they wanted, and they were making money still. But the caveat to that is you're not ever home. So that's one of the big things with trucking, is that the home time is slowly starting to change to where they're making it more beneficial for the trucker to get people to want to do this still. But again, like, all that doesn't matter if you it just isn't for everybody, regardless if you can drive and all that. It's not for everybody. So backing way back to like I said, the whole topic of this video is my thoughts on Roadmaster and is it worth it. Roadmaster, they teach you all this stuff, so to speak, in the school. They go over it. The instructors will give you their real life knowledge on it whenever you ask about it. Then they're very blunt about it, which is what I love. You know, they're just basically, they're truckers still. They just decided to stop and stay home for a while and teach, and, you know, so they're home every night. And that's just what they get paid for. But is it worth it? Like I said, for what it is, yes. But it's not for everyone. Theoretically, you can go in, if you know how to do this, you can go get your Cdl permit, and if you can find somebody to ride with that's a licensed Cdl holder, you know, you can ride with them and get your hours, and then just sign up somewhere to go take your state exam with the state examiner. Probably a little bit harder to do that, especially depending on what area you're in, than it sounds. But, you know, you can do that and probably save a lot of money. That being said, if you want to do it, do it. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? You get your license and, you know, you don't do anything with it. And that's another thing whenever you get your license. As soon as you get your license, or you pass, get your endorsements. Get your doubles and triple trailers. Get your tanker endorsement. Get your hazmat endorsement. I went and did all of that as soon as I was done. That opens up a whole other realm for you, because your license, you were endorsed to drive everything. Your hazmat costs a little bit of money because you got to do fingerprints and background checks that you got to pay for out of pocket. But it opens up so much more for you. It takes a little time too. It takes like 6 to 8 weeks to get back, I think, because, you know, they have to do a whole background check on you. But it doesn't limit your ability to what you can haul and carry, which means you make more money. So that's my quick thoughts on, well, not really quick, it's probably like a 20-30 minute video, but my thoughts on Roadmaster getting into the trucking business, or getting your CDL, I should say. Now this is all Class A. Class B is completely different stuff. It's a whole other topic. But this is your Class A stuff. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. I'll probably post more trucking videos. It seems like some people are into that thing. That's where I've been the last couple of weeks, and why I haven't been able to upload a video. Literally there before the sun comes up, and I'm leaving when the sun's setting. But I'm done now. I have my Class A CDL. I've already went and changed my license. I have my Class A CDL. I have all my endorsements. You can do it too. Just like my tattoos say on my arm, never stop believing yourself. Limits are just an illusion. If you want to get out there and do something different, go get your Class A. So until next time, see you guys.